So, one thing I want to talk about is logical fallacies. So, throughout our life, we kind of get hit with information and propaganda that creates uninformed beliefs that take our focus away from life. Um, if it's if it's politically driven, usually it carries like an emotional charge, and so then it really kind of saps energy from you. Um, and sometimes it's good. I'm not saying information or beliefs that we form that have an emotional charge are bad. However, if we haven't thought it through critically, then maybe we aren't as informed as we should be, if we're gonna put so much passion behind it, if that makes sense. You wouldn't want to. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to give a terrible example, but let's say you quit your job to go protest a cause, but you didn't analyze the like how that cause came to be. Maybe you're missing some key information, and then later, you know, somebody does an investigation and finds out like, hey, you guys didn't take this into account. Like it was something completely different. And I know that's being very vague, but I'm kind of just riffing here, so we'll go with that. So just some of the fallacies that I want to talk about, though, that are really prevalent in this political space, especially. One of them is the fallacy of provincialism, which, if you know what a province is, it's kind of like a region, or I don't know what the correct term for it is. I know it's more like a segregated space for, I guess, depending on, I guess, what cultures it was, like consisted of multiple cities, something like that. I think it's used in Asia, like the term province. So like it's kind of hard to put it into words while I'm riffing. But it's the fallacy of provincialism, and you could think of it as more of like a group thing. Instead of it being a province, like a region, it's groups. So the fallacy of provincialism in terms of politics would be like when you engage in you're with a group and you're so strongly tied to that group that you will distort the truth because of your ties with the group. Like the pull to belong in that group, that the tribe rather, causes you to, I guess, act irrationally towards things that would maybe alienate you from that community. And that can, you see this is very prevalent. Let's take the left and the right, liberals, conservatives, where, and it happens on both sides, right, where you would engage in rhetoric about the other side, like, hey, let's say I'm a liberal, right? The propaganda about conservatives is to, from the liberal perspective, is to, demonize them. They're Nazis, they're racist, da-da-da. Anything that contradicts us, this is what they are. And that creates a separation of us and them, kind of pulling you into, the province, the group. And so rather than kind of not investigating, but getting to know somebody on an individual level, who they are personally, because nobody is going to, fit the bill 100% of what, a particular label has. Like a conservative is not going to have all the preconceived notions and, propaganda that you were taught about what a conservative is. They're not going to be that. they're going to be an individual. They're, you know, a Christian is, two Christians are not going to be, you know, 100% the same in their belief systems, right? So that's an example of kind of how that works. You're demonizing the outside, you know, to create this, you know, like tribe strength or tribe mentality, distorting the truth. So that's, I guess, the most common mechanism of the fallacy of provincialism that we need to be aware of. And it's prevalent in cults too. Like, this isn't, I don't think this is, I'm not bringing anything groundbreaking, you know, this isn't some like unknown thing that we didn't know about, you know. There's plenty of like documentaries on cults and how they do this. You see this in wars too. Before we go to war, like, what do? You know, we demonize the other people. Like, look at Afghanistan and Iraq. Oh, the terrorists, the Muslims, the bombs, you know. It's an interesting phenomenon. But definitely one that I think, you know, if we're going to take back our power, you know, have agency over the decisions we, you know, make in our life and how we get to know people too, you know what I mean? We need to be aware of these things.